All right, welcome to the 2024 Autofocus Awards. We're your hosts. I'm Marquez.
I'm Miles.
And today we're going to be going through a bunch of categories of cars that have come out this year that we've reviewed that we think deserve some recognition for how good they were at certain things. We've got some runner-ups, we've got some winners, and we also have an MVP trophy at the end for our big winner of the night. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah.
Without any further ado, let's just get right into the awards because it's freezing.
Yeah. Starting with ICE Car of the Year, Internal Combustion Engine Car of the Year.
Yeah. So we did review a few.
Yeah.
We did obviously a lot of EVs and hybrids, but there were a few, and the mostly performance-oriented ones come to mind.
Yeah.
So any runner-ups you'd like to give before the winner?
Yeah. The first one that comes to mind is easily Ferrari Purosangue. I think it was by far the most interesting ICE car we reviewed
Kind of
this
sacrilegious.
year. Yeah, I mean,
expensive.
Yeah, but it was pretty awesome. It drives amazingly. It's easily the best big, heavy SUV type car that we reviewed, and having a naturally aspirated V12, it's like there's not much that gets better than that from a pure sensation standpoint.
Backwards doors, ample space. You can't say that about a lot of Ferraris.
Yeah.
The tech was not amazing.
In fact, it was among the worst of
like
any car we reviewed this year.
But that's not a focus of the car. So, maybe if you got $500,000 to spend, you're not really looking at that so much. But there was a pretty clear winner for us, I think.
Yes.
The ICE Car of the Year for autofocus is the McLaren 750S.
Yes.
This car was everything we expected. The 720S was already basically legendary. One could even argue good value, I would say.
Honestly, yes. And that video we have on that car actually might not be out yet by the time this video comes out, but it is coming. We're just waiting on some back-end stuff to be cleared up. But
long shorts.
Yeah.
Long shorts.
That video is coming. I think what I like so much about it is that is the perfect blend of old school and new with the hydraulic steering, and it's, a lot of cars, no matter how fast they are, they're still very easy, right? So it's like someone could hop in a Plaid and just go insanely fast without really feeling anything. Mm-hmm. McLaren still gives you that kind of old school supercar feel where it's like you hop in and you feel like, this is a really high power car that
feels like a go-kart. Yeah. And the thing is, it's, they make a 765 LT, and I've never driven it, but I've heard a lot about how track and harsh that car is, and it does feel like the 750S actually strikes a balance between, it's a streetable car, but it's a crazy go-kart type car. It's amazing. So it has Apple CarPlay. It has the new modern McLaren system.
Yeah.
I'm a fan.
Yeah.
We have the video coming soon. Stay tuned for it. It easily wins that award for us for this year.
I think it does the best job at being a supercar in the most stereotypical sense, but in a good way.
Yeah. Doors go up.
Yeah.
It was the bright color, the one we had as well. So
yeah.
I love it. Okay. Well, the natural other side of that coin is the EV of the year.
Yep.
The electric vehicle of the year. And we have a much broader swath to choose from here. We had everything from crossovers to sedans to performance cars
to coupes, convertibles.
It was a good year for EVs. More choices than ever. There is a pretty clear winner, but I do want to mention some others that were interesting that came out during the year. I think one that was a crowd favorite that a lot of people cared a lot about was the Li Auto Mega.
Yeah.
It is cold.
Yeah.
No, the Mega had everything. It kind of deserves a name. It's like this 3-row, filled with tech EV that kind of turned a lot of heads in a way I didn't expect, just because you don't really see them on the streets here, and it looked really cool. I think it aesthetically was awesome. So yeah, that gets an award mention for sure.
Yeah, I think it really has opened our eyes to what's happening overseas in the electric vehicle space. And when we released that video, we had a lot of comments of people saying that car actually isn't like apparently that great over there, and that there are even better options. So next year we intend on exploring more of that and finding out like where this mountain really peaks.
Yeah. There's other worth mentioning. I thought the Tesla Model 3 performance was a huge improvement over last year and ended up being one of the best values in the EV space for people who want that type of vehicle. So I'll give that a mention. But I don't know, the EV of the year actually was we had the same pick. It was pretty unanimous here.
Yeah.
That would be the Lucid Air Sapphire.
Yeah.
That car seems to be impossible, just based on how many things it's good at.
Yep.
It has a ton of space. It's really well built. It's incredibly fast. It performs well. Somehow the suspension is amazing. The steering is great. And they did a lot of bespoke things with like the traction control and the tires. And just from cover to cover, the front trunk to the back, that thing was very well considered. It's obviously super expensive, but there's nothing else quite like it.
Yeah, I mean, when you think of an EV that gives you everything you want, all of the ground-up EV practicality with the immense space inside and out, really great range, really solid charging.
Yeah, whenever you see a range of EVs and you see the one with the most range, that's usually the most efficient one with the least acceleration. And that's still true in Lucid's lineup, but it somehow has 1,200 horsepower and 400 miles of range.
Yeah.
That's like a smartphone with an overclocked chip and the longest battery life. It just doesn't usually happen like that. It's great.
Yeah.
So if you made me drive an EV right now, that's the easy pick.
Easy.
EV of the year, Lucid Air Sapphire.
Yeah.
Okay, next category.
Hybrids.
Hybrid, of course.
Yeah.
So the middle of the coin, hybrid of the year. We got a couple of these in.
Yeah, there were some pretty epic ones that didn't make the list. Like, I mean, not a new car, but we also drove a McLaren Speedtail this year. That
is a hybrid.
Yeah.
That is a hybrid. It is a ridiculous car. But we do have a winner.
Yeah. I think just because it's such a good car in almost every sense. I mean, there are certain areas where, yeah, it's not the best, but I mean, overall, from a general standpoint, I think it does the hybrid thing very well. And that car is the Bentley Continental GT Speed Hybrid, which we also have not released a video on that one yet. Kind of in the same boat as a McLaren video, so coming
shorts.
at a later date, but it is coming.
Yeah, it was fun to drive. It was fun because it genuinely has multiple personalities, which is a compliment for a car when it can be both a chill, relaxed, comfortable GT and a sports car. That's impressive.
Yeah.
And this did it. The hybrid system helped it do it. It's heavy, obviously, but it has a decent amount of EV-only range, which is the thing that some people want sometimes out of hybrids.
Yeah.
I think it looks good. It's got a decent amount of storage. You could put, I keep saying this in videos, but 2 sets of golf clubs in the trunk. Like, it's great. I'm loving it. So,
yeah. I mean, luxury, solid tech, amazing like speakers.
Yep.
I mean, you don't have like really great assisted driving features. Just Volkswagen really hasn't dialed that in yet in most of their cars.
Yeah.
But it does like 2.9 seconds 0 to 60 on
Really
the
quick.
street.
And really responsive. It kind of reminds me of, and this might be crazy, but what maybe the new 911 hybrids will feel like, because we haven't driven those yet either.
No.
But from what I see in reviews, really, really responsive because of the hybrid assistance, but in a totally different mechanical way.
Yeah.
But same thing, the pedal was really, really responsive in that car, so well done on the hybrid Bentley. Here's an interesting award, most efficient. We want to give an award for good efficiency. This kind of is similar to the battery award I've given in the smartphone awards, where you might not have the biggest capacity battery, but if you make the best use of your battery, that deserves to be recognized, and it's fun for the end user to not have to think too hard about it. So, okay, we've written 2 down here, and they're kind of neck and neck, but for different ways.
Yeah.
Lucid Air Pure.
Yes.
Do you remember the max range of the Pure? Something
We
like
got
400,
we got nearly 420 miles of range in that
400
car.
something, yeah. The Lucid Air Pure is a rear-wheel drive base Lucid that has just the most efficient drivetrain you've ever seen in an AV.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It also has a pretty big battery, and it's got all the Lucid stuff that we talked about already. It's comfortable, it's well built. If you drive a bunch of EVs, you start to look at the watt hours per mile number and just kind of take note of which ones get the best numbers.
Yeah.
And the Lucid Air Pure is typically right around the top of that list. It's super
Absolutely.
efficient.
Yeah.
But I'm actually happy with giving the award to the other one that came to mind, which is the Tesla Model 3. The base Tesla Model 3 is just the most worry-free charging experience EV you can get.
Yeah.
And I think that's worth something.
Yeah, I mean, they've been doing it for so long, so it only makes sense that they have it pretty dialed in by the 2nd generation. So.
Yeah. It doesn't need, because you see the ones with huge batteries to get the huge range. It doesn't have a gigantic battery, but it has great range.
Yeah.
It typically can in good conditions be at 180 to 200 watt hours per mile, which on my scale of 200 to 600, that's about as good as it gets. You have Tesla's charging network, obviously. It charges really fast. It's NACS, unlike the Lucid right now. It's a great, worry-free charging experience for an EV. Way to win the award. All right, what's next?
Best performance car.
Okay.
So we did a lot more performance cars this year. Like McLaren Speedtail. One that I think should definitely get an honorable mention, the Sacrilege Blackbird.
Fascinating car.
Which is really fun and really shows where, you can go if you want to make an EV actually fun and engaging.
Not exactly a production car, but still got to test it, so worth mentioning. Yeah.
But our official runner-up is the Hyundai Ioniq 5N. The more time has been separated between like when we got that car and present day, like the more I kind of miss it and appreciate it.
Totally.
For how goofy but still like really fun it is. Like I really think Hyundai is on the right path with their electrification and just their whole rebrand strategy of just making really great cars. The range is pretty awful.
Terrible.
It's
205 tops.
I mean, I barely cracked 200.
Yeah, the way people will have fun with it, it's not for the range.
Yeah, but it's easily the most fun, attainable EV that I've personally driven this year.
Yeah, it checks out. I had a lot of fun making fun of the sounds and the fake shifts and the emulating a gas car and the transmission and all that stuff. But the fact that they actually went through with it and it works really convincingly, you can redline it. It's fun. It's really goofy, unabashed fun in an EV, and Hyundai's on one. Hyundai's got a lot of good stuff going on, so that definitely gets a mention. But we have a winner too.
Yeah, we have a winner. Easily the most fun two-door car that we reviewed on the channel. Lamborghini Revuelto.
Hybrid. Yeah.
Lamborghini basically fixed every functional and fundamental problem with the Aventador with this car. You have the better transmission, the dual clutch is super snappy and engaging. The hybrid system makes the acceleration instantaneous, obviously, and you get like a couple of miles of range in EV mode.
Technically you do,
if you want it. But EPA, like emissions and all this stuff, like making it harder and harder to have cars that feel like they did 20 years ago. I feel like Lamborghini is doing one of the best jobs at still bringing that very visceral experience in present day, especially with having like a big old V12 in the car. That's not going to be something that sticks around for a very long time, and the fact that they were able to do it and make it better, functionally speaking, than the Aventador, that should be celebrated.
Worthy successor. One of the best looking back of a cars I've seen in a while.
Yes.
So shout out to that too.
Yes. It also shoots flames.
It does?
Stock. Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Jesus Christ. That's even more icing on the cake for that one.
Yeah.
Sick. All right. Next category. Okay, best luxury car. So this is the other side of that coin again. You get a performance car, you're getting into the like real uncomfortable cars. You're getting into the luxury cars, you're not thinking about performance much at all. You want, the comfort.
Yeah.
The relaxed ride, the soft suspension, the good materials, the quality tech so you don't have to think too hard. You want all of that. And we did get a good number of luxury-focused cars that came out this year. Okay, technically, Our runner-up, which was kind of unexpected, but totally falls in this category,
100%.
is the Li Auto Mega.
Yeah.
You don't think of that as like a luxury car right off the bat, but think about it. Softest suspension we've felt in forever.
Yeah.
Amazing tech from the front seat to the back seat. USB ports everywhere. Super, super comfortable seats from the front to the back again. It's got the fridge, it's got the heater, it's got the screen that flips down from the top, the wireless chargers, and a decent amount of range and a fairly worry-free experience, so luxury for the whole family.
Yeah, I mean,
kind of impressive.
It's different than our MVP or actual winner of the luxury category in the sense that it's not a great luxury car in terms of it having like insanely expensive materials and everything feeling extremely premium, but luxury in the sense of what it does for you.
Yeah,
Like
living with it.
all of the amenities, you know, all of the endless amounts of features that just make your life easier
Yeah.
and kind of better with using the car. And it has better suspension than the actual winner of this category, which
I
is
agree, which is sick.
kind of crazy to think about.
So what's our winner?
Yeah, the king of softness,
It's amazing.
the Rolls-Royce Spectre.
King of softness, king of quietness. Those are the two things about that car that really stand out to me.
Yeah.
So softness, soft suspension, but also you sit in that car, everything from the headrest to the seat to the carpets on the floor, the steering wheel. It's just a nice soft interior.
Yeah.
In a way that you kind of just sit down and sort of sink into the seat a little bit and relax.
Yeah.
But then it's really quiet, and I think that's a part of the luxury experience, which is when you close that huge door, you put the umbrella back, you close the door, you put the windows up, and you're just sort of isolated from the outside world. I remember having this experience like driving through, I think it was Jersey City or something we were doing, and people got mad, oh, there's so much salt on the car. I was living with that car,
Yeah.
and a garbage truck drove past me, and I didn't even hear it. Right next to me.
Yeah.
A garbage truck. Not that there's anything wrong with hearing a garbage truck, but the luxury experience is not hearing the garbage truck for sure. And they accomplish that. It makes the speakers sound better too.
Yeah.
It's really,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you want an EV and want the most bespoke experience in terms of speccing it exactly the way you want it, you know, like with Teslas and a lot of other EV companies, they're all kind of going to look the same. But if you want an electric car and want to have a one-of-one spec with like all these crazy colors and materials you can pick,
Barney color, you could do whatever.
yeah, it's pretty much the only option right now.
Yeah.
So,
It would also cost you.
oh yeah.
But hey, that's part of the luxury experience too.
Yeah.
All right, we've got 3 more categories. The bust of the year is the one that you hate to have to give, but this is a fun show. Why not award the
Yeah.
bust of the year? Look, not every car is good, but what I will say is in buying a new car, you typically can't go super wrong if you know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
You might buy an Ioniq 5N and you know ahead of time you're not going to road trip that car a lot and depend on it for long range, so you don't really knock it too much for that. You might buy a Rivian R1T. You're not going to take it to the drag strip. You don't expect that out of it unless I guess you get the quad motor one.
Yeah.
But there was one car that didn't really perform at all. It was just kind of missing in a lot of pieces, and you guys already know what I'm talking about if you watched the channel this year. That's the Fisker Ocean.
Yeah.
The Fisker Ocean, I don't want to, kick it while it's down too much, but the company doesn't exist anymore for a reason. They just never really got it fully together with the basics of things like software, things like build quality, things like consistency and range and experience. I actually think it's too bad because it's a really good-looking EV,
Yeah.
practically speaking.
It makes me sad because unlike a lot of other like EV manufacturers that are barely getting it off the ground, I feel like the bones were there.
Yeah,
The execution, and I feel like they rushed it to get out, and it showed.
yeah. A lot of people were looking forward to having another option in the like mid-sized crossover space, like a decent-sized trunk and like some cool color options. It had like a matte paint job that we were looking at, and Fisker being a designer first, I think it showed, and they did a good job there. It's just then living with it that it kind of fell apart, and they
Yeah.
kind of tried to correct themselves, but it was a little too late, and so they are in 2024 pretty clearly the bust of the year.
Yeah.
They don't exist as a company anymore. RIP. But now we get to an award that's even more fun to give,
Yeah.
which is the Most Improved Award. Now, I've started doing this in the smartphone awards, and it's a fun award because not a lot of smartphones dramatically improve year over year, but in the car world, it happens sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get a pivot where a company goes, oh, we're going to change something up. We're going to pull a Jaguar. We're going to go nuts and do something totally different. And so we do have some Most Improved mentions here.
Yeah. Runner-up is a car that, yet again, we have not released a video on for different reasons than the other two cars, but
Yeah.
that video is coming, and it is the Rivian R1 Gen 2.
Yeah. So spoiler alert, I've been living with a Rivian R1T since the launch edition came out. I clearly love the thing. And my number one question, I'm kind of spoiling our video, but was how much better is the second gen actually? And it looks exactly the same from the outside. You can only really tell if you look at the blinkers that you're standing next to a second gen versus a first gen. But when you live with the second gen, everything from the suspension to the range to the materials to the interior finish, kind of across the board, they've done a little bit to every little piece of that car.
Yeah.
I want to test the speakers again because I've been seeing a whole bunch of complaints about the new speakers. I didn't have any problem with the ones I tested, but we're getting another one in soon, so we'll be able to double check. But yeah, when you improve range and charging and materials and comfort and suspension,
Yeah.
you've done a good job.
Yeah, it shows that, listening and just like being involved on the feedback end of things, it makes a huge difference. But this is not actually our winner for this category.
It's because they didn't fix the wireless chargers. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the winner,
Model 3, just the regular Tesla Model 3.
yeah, the Highland as they call it, or as we called it. It's not actually what it's called. But the Highland Model 3, the new Model 3 is across the board. It's sort of reestablished itself as one of the best deals and one of the smartest EVs to actually buy. A lot of people will lease them too, but just practical, fast charging, decent, much better suspension than the first Model 3s, which everyone knows were much harsher.
Yeah.
I think better looking with the new headlights, the new taillights, the new Tesla branding instead of the T. Yeah, just everything about that car is not just a little better, but I think much better than the first.
Yeah. When we first got that car and put it side by side with the first gen Model 3, it's easily the most night and day transformation of any like EV I think we've seen. So
yeah, a true facelift in every way from the inside out. And obviously the performance model is a little icing on the cake there, but yeah, Model 3 Highland, there's a reason you see them everywhere.
Yeah.
They're really good. So, I think we've arrived at the big award for the night, the moment you've all been waiting for, the MVP.
Yeah.
The car of the year.
So, I mean, I think the reason this car gets the award that it does is because I feel like it's a car that we constantly mention a lot in the office.
Yeah.
Especially when talking about EVs and EVs that perform very well, even just cars that perform very well in general.
Yeah.
It's a car that I would easily love to spend more time with again and explore.
We've mentioned
more.
it more than once. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny because when we first mentioned like we should do an award show. We should reward the best stuff that came out this year. Which, that means we're going to have to give an MVP, right?
Yeah.
And immediately, without even mentioning it, we both looked at each other and we were like, we already know what that one is.
Yep.
So here it is. The MVP for 2024. That is the Lucid Air Sapphire. And I don't want to say it's not close, but like when I thought about this year and the stuff that we got to test, there's a huge variety of stuff. Fun stuff, practical stuff, luxury stuff, sports stuff. This car is all of that stuff. Like, I don't know how to make it more clear. If you want a great sports car, this can be that.
Yeah.
If you want a great sedan for picking up the kids and bringing 3 sets of golf clubs places, there you go. If you want to go 400 miles on a charge and go for a road trip in an EV, there you go.
That's the one.
It's that one. If you want to nuke other cars on the drag strip, literally effortlessly, just stomping a pedal, it's that. And there's YouTube channels that do all those things with this car. Yes, it's expensive. I think it's clear that Lucid loses money on every single one they sell because of how much they spent.
Yep.
And I believe it. It's got magic suspension. It's got incredible steering. I could go on and on. I am going on and I'm blabbering and freezing at this point.
Yeah.
That's the winner. Yeah.
Much deserved.
So yeah, this has been our first ever.
Yeah.
I hope we get more award categories next year too. Maybe we'll get some more fun stuff that comes out, but let us know if you agree with our picks or if you disagree. I'm sure we'll get comments of people disagreeing with our picks, but this is the one that gets a trophy, and I hope no one disagrees with this one, but for the rest of them, let us know.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Peace.